You ever get hit with something so absurd you laugh first, and only after, way after, you start to wonder if you're in some kind of Truman Show experiment? Yeah. So here's my story about the time an HOA tried to tell me where I was allowed to live. Not just which house, mind you. Which neighborhood. I'm not kidding. The first time someone told me I wasn't allowed to live outside their little manicured kingdom, I just stood there with a water bottle and a copy of the floor plan, thinking, you gotta be joking, right? Like, this has to be one of those next-door posts where a bored neighbor starts their own border patrol. Only, turns out, it was for real. I'm standing on a sidewalk. Public, by the way, not that it mattered to the woman in the clipboard vest. When she actually calls 911, she announces, in full voice, to both me and the birds, that I can't legally reside outside the HOA's boundary, and apparently, just by taking a tour of one of their rentals, I've signed my fate. You know that falling feeling you get when you step where there's no stair? That was me, except I was looking at cookie-cutter houses, each mailbox in neat little clusters, saplings in rows, cars shiny enough to see your own regret. I'd scheduled a showing for a 3-bedroom in their rental pool. That's what they call it. They keep a few houses for people who want to dip their toe before they buy. Sounds reasonable on paper, right? I expected a leasing agent, maybe a smile and a clipboard. Instead, I get Marva, compliance officer, smile sharp enough to cut wire. Badge so laminated it catches the sun. You've toured, she says, arms folded like she's getting paid by the scowl. Our association's visitation covenant applies. You set foot to tour? You have to apply to rent. No exceptions. I laughed. Out loud. I mean, who lives like that? I pointed at the leasing sign, tried to reason. Tour isn't consent. You can't make up obligations on the sidewalk. She pivots, badge first. We're a lawful private authority. We set conditions for access. Sure, I say for members. But I'm not a member. Covenants run with the land, not with my shoes. She did not appreciate the land law lesson. You came to look. We own the house. That triggers obligation. Somewhere, my dad, man who labeled every toolbox drawer so my brothers couldn't steal his sockets, would have been proud. Boundaries, he'd say, are about agreements. If you didn't sign, you didn't agree. Simple as that. And he also taught us to keep conversations with self-appointed sheriffs short and, if possible, recorded. So, I slid my phone into my pocket with the recorder on. Just in time, too, because the police arrived in under 7 minutes. Either impressive or terrifying for a neighborhood that barely fills 2 city blocks. The officer, Dominguez, is calm. The kind of calm you get when you've refereed a lot of neighborhood drama. He asks for names, listens, then turns to Marva. Ma'am, do you have authority over people who haven't signed your covenants or rented from you? We do, she insists. Visitors must comply. If he's here to tour, he must proceed to the leasing office to formalize tenancy. Dominguez looks at her, then at me, then back. Visiting isn't the same as agreeing to a contract. You can ask him to leave private property, but you can't make him rent a house. She's undeterred. We control the street, the sidewalks, the common areas. We built all of it. He asks me, is this a public right-of-way? Oh, I'm ready. I hold up the printout from the recorder's office, subdivision plat, public right-of-way, recorded for the county. He looks it over, and for the first time, Marva actually flinches. Dominguez gives her a quick, gentle lecture about misusing 911 for civil enforcement, then turns to me, says I'm free to continue my tour. Marva stalks off, muttering into her radio. I figure my showing's canceled, but no, here comes Trent, leasing agent, hair slick, apologetic smile, clearly wondering what he signed up for. Sorry about that, he says, ushering me in. Our president is, hands-on. Noticed, I reply. I ask, half joking, if I'll have to memorize bylaws if I rent. He laughs, then admits, yeah, stay on Marva's good side. The house. Honestly, not bad. Tasteful beige, solid kitchen. I could see myself here for a year. But Dad's voice is still in my ear. If someone starts a relationship by trying to claim jurisdiction over your feet, your mail's not safe later. I tell Trent, I like the layout. Great, we'll start your application, he says. I didn't say I'm applying, I reply. He backs off, no pressure. I leave, and sure enough, Marva's at the end of the block, glaring holes in my back all the way to my car. I tour a different house the same day, a little older, cheaper, glorious pecan tree out front. I signed that lease the next morning, text Trent a polite thanks, thinking that's that. Except, by lunch, there's a certified letter in my mailbox from the association. I hadn't given them my new address. Inside is a visitation obligation notice, an invoice for half a month's rent as a tour fee, plus threats to report me to the credit bureau. They claimed that by touring, I accepted conditional tenancy, and if I didn't select a house and pay the deposit within 24 hours, I owed them a termination penalty. Oh, and apparently, I can't lawfully establish residence anywhere else for 12 months unless they approve it. I call the leasing office. Trent answers, "Hey, did you get, what is this?" I cut him off, picturing Marva breathing down his neck. "You can't tell me where to live. You can't bill me for not renting. You definitely can't report me to a credit bureau for a fee that doesn't exist." He exhales. I know how it sounds. It sounds like someone stapled 3 different threats together and hoped it would stick. He whispers, "I can't talk about this on the office line. Call me at 6. Different number. Why? Phones are recorded," he says, then hangs up. Let me back up a sec. I am not a conspiracy person. My idea of a wild Saturday is reading warranty deed language at a taco truck. But when an HOA employee tells you to call from a burner phone, that's a new one. So, 6 p.m., I'm in a convenience store buying a prepaid card, dialing the number he texted. He picks up, whispering, "Marva runs the board. She had us authorize the tour fee last year. Says undecided visitors lower property values. If someone tours, she counts them as a conditional tenant to pump our occupancy numbers for the lender." He sighs. It's all smoke. She wants to report near full occupancy to keep dues down. I know it's not legal, but she writes the policy memos. "How'd you get my new address?" I ask. He hesitates. "We have access to a screening service. Marva told me to run your name. Sometimes the system spits out addresses. She had me write the letter." I go quiet. "Trent, that's not just unprofessional. That's crossing lines. Consumer law, fair housing, credit reporting." He pleads, "Please don't use my name." Now I'm mad, but not wild. Time to go full process. I draft a letter, certified mail. First, I reject the obligation. Second, I demand they cease all consumer reporting, remind them it's illegal to furnish false info, and demand any recorded instrument giving them authority over non-members. I also ask how they got my address and their permissible purpose. Then, I send a packet to the State Real Estate Division, Attorney General's Consumer Unit, City Code Enforcement, audio from Marva, the fee letter, the whole saga. I ask every question I can think of. Is this allowed? Is a broker required? Does fair housing cover this? Is the visitor tenancy rule even legal? It's a lot of stamps, but suddenly I feel like I've got hands on the wheel again. 2 days later, board replies, short and sour. Obligation stands. Pay the fee by Friday to avoid further action. We will exercise all rights. I actually grin. Please do. Then, because sometimes pettiness is self-care, I go back Saturday morning. Not to fight, just to walk the sidewalks and measure them, wearing a neon orange hat. That's enough to summon a golf cart, blinking light, new compliance guy named Rico. "Can I help you?" he asks, no fake smile. "Sure." I chirp, just checking sidewalk measurements. "City specs require clearance for wheelchairs. Your shrubs pinch the path. Also, hydrant access." He radios. Marva screeches up. "You're trespassing during an internal audit. Public right-of-way." I say, waving my little measuring wheel. "You have a continuing obligation from your tour," she says. "You can't just walk away and poke around." "Officer Dominguez said your rules don't bind non-members," I reply. "Also, your letter implies you used a screening service after I declined. That's fun to explain to the state." She glares. "You've made a powerful enemy, ma'am. I once spent a summer disputing a $38 cable box fee on principle." I tell her, "My endurance is not where you want to test me." I finish my measurements, snap photos of the sidewalk and hydrant, email everything boringly factual to code enforcement. By Monday, 3 replies. State Real Estate Division wants all communications. Code enforcement opens a case. Attorney General opens a file. Next morning, City Inspector Ken calls. "Can you confirm pinch points? Any photos?" "Yep, I've got photos." Lunch break. More requests from Real Estate Division and Consumer Protection. Did I believe the association accessed my consumer report without permission? I reply, attach the audio of Trent admitting it. Keep it dry. No adjectives. That night, sitting under my pecan tree, I watch a squirrel run off a blue jay. My phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. Heads up. Marva called a special meeting. Lock your mailbox. 5 minutes later, a photo arrives. A newsletter warning residents about suspicious vehicles measuring sidewalks. Next day, email from Nia. We saw your letter. Thank you. My mom visits in her chair, but has to roll into the road because of the hedges. Marva never listens. We meet for coffee. She hands me a stack of emails. Her pleas, Marva's icy. Our hedges are within tolerance replies. While we talk, a guy named Leroy joins. Turns out, he owns on the block, hands me a subdivision plat highlighted streets and sidewalks dedicated to public use. Half the folks here think the association owns everything because they trim it. They don't. City took the right-of-way years ago. He prints one for every new owner. Legend. Soon after, I get more calls. 3 hang-ups, one from real estate division, and 1 voicemail from Marva. Cease your harassment, or we'll seek injunctive relief. And you still owe the tour penalty. I file a public records request for the 911 call. Within days, I've got the audio, birds chirping, Marva's voice declaring I'm attempting to exit the community without reporting to leasing. Dispatcher says, "Ma'am, that's not a police matter." I send the audio to the state, the city, the bank. And then, it's like a switch flips. City trucks, fire marshal at the entrance, code enforcement tags the hedges and hydrant. The whole place starts buzzing. Homeowners split, some embarrassed, some angry, some want to know why the board is picking fights with laws. Then another notice. The security station's unpermitted. Remove in 30 days. Inside, board starts hunting leaks. Trent calls, paranoid. They're asking who gave you the newsletter. Also, if you get mail from a lender, don't throw it away. Board claimed near full occupancy to renew a credit line. Marva counts conditional tenants from tours. He emails me a memo and spreadsheet. Visitor tenancy, occupancy enhancement, my name on a list marked decline to comply. I forward everything to state, city, bank. That's when things get weird. At the grocery, a man in a gray suit from the bank approaches. Over coffee, he asks about the subdivision plat and says, "We care about collateral risk. If the rental program's illegal, we need to know." He gives me his card, says to call if anyone tries to intimidate me. That night, a golf cart creeps onto my street. Rico snaps photos, claims I owe a tour fee. "You don't. Stop coming to my house." I tell him. "Approach my door again, and I'll call the police." Next morning, I file a report. Officer recognizes the whole mess, promises to call their board. Then the dominoes fall. Consumer Protection orders the visitor tenancy program shut down, demands refunds, tells the board to never contact me again. Code enforcement trims the hedges, removes the boulders, rips out the kiosk. Real estate division orders licensed brokers only. Bank wants true rent rolls. Homeowners rally. Signatures fill a recall petition. Trent quits on the spot, hands over the memo in front of everyone. The recall passes. Nia gets elected. New board freezes rentals, posts an apology, fires the security team, issues refunds. The city confirms compliance. State closes its file. Marva gets cited for misusing 911. I win a small claim for costs and get a stipulated order. They pay, never contact me, never approach my property again. Life softens. Nia brings cookies. Trent gets his job back with a new management company. At a yard sale, I see the old security plaque for sale. I leave it. Later, a thank you card in crayon. Thank you for making Nana's walk easier. I put all the letters, audio, tags in a binder, sidewalks and boundaries. The moral? Contracts bind signers, sidewalks are public, hydrants need space, and you can't invent debt with letterhead. If you call 911 because someone left your neighborhood, you just might learn a thing or two about boundaries. So who's right, who's wrong? Was I too petty? Or is standing your ground how community gets better? I want to hear your take. Drop your thoughts below. Where do you draw the line between rules and overreach? Let's hear your stories. And hey, next time you walk a sidewalk, remember whose it really is.